Um, so yeah, welcome everyone. This is VR meetup number 12. And it's great to see you all. As usual, if this is your first time viewing this, then you may want to join our Telegram channel, which is t.me/VRBitcoin. We announce all events there every week. And yeah, we have like every weekend at this time, we have a meetup. So definitely join that. You don't need to have a VR headset, by the way. You can have a VR headset, but you don't need to have one. And before we continue, just a word from our sponsor, Kraken, that is supporting those weekly meetups. Kraken is the best exchange in the world for buying and selling Bitcoin. It has the tightest security, deep liquidity, and a great fee structure with no minimums or hidden fees. Whether you're looking for a simple fiat on-ramp or futures trading, Kraken is the place for you. And as usual, we have the video camera right over there. If you want, you can wave hello, and it's going to capture everything, so you can view this on Twitter too. And please try to stay in your places and not move around too much, because it might obstruct the views for other people. And try not to like fly on top of things if you can. And yeah, so today we have Lawrence Nahum, who's the chief architect at Blockstream. He's also the founder of Green Wallet, previously known as Green Address. And most importantly, he's also the co-host of Reckless Review, which is the best toxic Bitcoin podcast in the world, maybe the only one, I think. By the way, how many of you have ever listened to a Reckless Review episode? Like show of hands. That's more than I thought. That's more than I expected. So that's awesome. So we're trying to do, we've never done this before, but we're trying to do like a live episode of Reckless Review, and we'll see how it goes. And Lawrence, can you speak? Say something.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Good. Yeah, great. So can we start? Let's start it like we always start a Reckless Review episode, which is me shouting, "Hello, and welcome to Reckless Review."
Yeah.
Yes, this is our tagline. It's very original. So look, maybe we'll start with, because I haven't seen you in probably like a year. So maybe start and tell us like how are things in Milan these days? Because you're in Milan right now, right?
Yes, you're still not seeing me, right?
Yeah, I kind of see you. I see something. It looks like you. It has a hat, and you have a hat.
So Milan is a little bit better, and they said that on the 4th of May it will be better. But there's still queues, small ones, but still, some queues at supermarkets, and not all shops are open yet. I think that's going to start on the 11th of May. Schools are still closed, and so, it's still a bit of a problem.
Yeah. Do people go to like jobs? I guess they
Some
are,
people,
right?
but not everyone
Some
can.
people.
And things like restaurants, cinemas, and any of the shops that couldn't open basically has people at home. Not everyone can work from home, right?
Yeah. But did they like remove some of the restrictions that were before? Like, is it better now than it was?
A little bit, yes. Some professionals, can now work.
Yeah.
It's limited by category and things like that.
Yeah. Well, but you're staying healthy. I'm not hearing you coughing at all.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's very good. And you just got your VR headset recently, right? Like
Yeah, a Quest.
a few weeks ago?
So I'm new to it. Yeah.
So how is it? How do you like it? Did you use it at all, or you just here
I've only
basically?
played the demo. I didn't buy any game, and I've tried, this app. I also tried Netflix for half an hour, but it wasn't. I think
Yeah.
ideal for that. It's cool. It's very cool.
Netflix
It's fun. At some point, I'll buy a
Netflix
game
in
and try
VR
it.
is weird. I mean, I guess it's good if you're like if you don't want to, if you don't want anyone to see, or if someone else is using the TV or something. But great, Netflix in VR. I don't know. Is anyone using Netflix in VR? Yeah, I guess some people. Oh well.
Yeah.
So you should do more Beat Saber. Basically, that's what you should do.
Yeah.
And VR chat. VR chat is great.
I mean,
so look,
I like it. I think it's still early days in the sense that today I had to reboot the headset just to hear you, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there are some issues.
And it still crashes every so often, right? And I couldn't connect easily a Bluetooth headset, which I find strange. You know, some limitations.
Yeah.
It's cool though. Very cool.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's move on to the first topic of the day, which is pay to endpoint / pay join. Is that the same? Is that like two names for the same thing, or are there like slight differences between P2EP and pay join? I'm not even sure. I think
I'm not sure
the
either
same.
about that.
Maybe
someone else.
So recently, Blockstream and BTC Pay announced support for pay to endpoint in BTC Pay, and actually, Waxwing, who's here, did our first presentation here in VR about PayJoin, and PayJoin and P2P is kind of the same thing. So that's pretty cool. I think he wants to say something. Let's see what he says.
Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me, guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, about the naming thing, it seems to be quite a lot of discussion about it. Basically, pay to endpoint was the name that was come up in the London meeting where we were sort of cooking up this idea. And I remember in the meeting I said, well, I don't think that's a very good name for like general public usage because it's very obscure. People won't understand what it means. And I said, why don't we just call it PayJoin instead? So a common thing that you're hearing nowadays is always two slightly different things, but no, it's not two slightly different things. It's the same thing. It's just that I argued that PayJoin is a better name for it, and a lot of people agree. A few people don't agree, and I'll just leave it at that. You can argue it out amongst yourselves. Okay.
So we have two names for the same thing.
So two names for the same thing. Yeah. Okay. I can work with that. So BTC Pay, I think, now has support in the wallet. By the way, is that like the same protocol as Join Market? Could they use that with Join Market, or is that?
Sorry, are you asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I still on? Yeah. Yeah. No. Okay. So there's a little bit more background you might find useful. Is after the discussion that meeting, which is like a couple of years ago now, a few things came out of it, and Samurai implemented something between Samurai wallets, and Join Market implemented something between Join Market wallets. And in both cases, we were not attempting to follow a standard. And around that time, Ryan Havar came up with BIP79, which is an attempt to standardize, which maybe had a few rough edges around it. Certainly, there were a couple of things in there I didn't agree with. But then BTC Pay Server recently, Mr. Cux and Nicholas Doria have worked on this and done a kind of a delta to BIP79, which looks like it's a bit more realistic. And more importantly, the fact that BTC Pay Server is supporting it is what really counts, right? So there's those old implementations from Samurai and Join Market are not compatible. But right now I am. In fact, pretty much this whole week I've been writing code to support this new BTC Pay Server version, which is obviously the thing that we would like to focus on instead.
Oh, cool.
That's very cool.
That's awesome. So I guess I'll try to do a quick refresher because maybe some people don't remember what PayJoin is and P2EP. So basically the idea is that when you're going to pay someone, typically a merchant, I guess, then you're going to be able to combine UTXOs with the merchant, basically. And so you're going to contribute a UTXO and the merchant is going to contribute a UTXO, and this way it's going to be harder for blockchain analysis companies to figure out who's paying who, because both sides contribute UTXOs into the transaction. So that's
Yeah,
the general idea. Yeah,
But
go
there's
ahead.
no reason it couldn't be implemented on a phone with both the receiver and sender, person to person.
Yeah, true,
I think.
true. I guess it's easier with the merchant because they're always online, but yeah, you could do it with person to
Yeah, but
person.
nowadays you're always online too, right?
Yeah, yeah, I guess. So that's basically what it is. And then if BTC Pay has merchant support, then that's good. That's a great first step because then a lot of like stores can implement it. But what about wallets? When supporting green, Lawrence?
We're working on it. I also heard that I think Wasabi is working on it.
Yeah, yeah, I think they do. They said they do. Yeah. So if we get Wasabi and maybe Join Market, hopefully, and BTC Pay actually has a built-in wallet. I know some people use BTC Pay as their like regular wallet. So those are
Yeah,
good
so
options.
to clarify, I think we're going to implement first the standard variant and then the receiver receiving, um, and later.
Yeah.
Because for the receiving, I think you really want to open an Onion endpoint on the fly, and it's so possible because at the end of the day we got Tor embedded, but it's a little bit of work, right? You have to do that dynamically and keep it open for a little bit, and then shut it off.
Right. So what's the release date? Give us a release date. That's what everyone wants to know.
No, I can't.
No. Okay. Okay, you tried. You tried.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's about P2EP. There's also, as usual, well, Waxwing alluded to the fact that there's a little bit of drama around the name, and there's drama around other stuff. As usual, we can't seem to do anything without drama, but yeah, the hands add a lot to communicating with you, Lawrence, because usually I have to guess what you think, and now I know. So that's adds a lot. It's great.
Yes.
Yeah. You kind of look like a plant, though. Just saying. Maybe me too.
Like not moving a lot.
Myself. No, with the it kind of looks like a tree, in a way.
A ballerina.
Okay, kind of. You need to move a lot more if you want to look like a ballerina. But yeah, yeah. You can move around. You can like go all over the place. But yeah. Nice, nice. Nice moves. Okay, next topic. So I bet a bunch of you saw this, and you might not be able to read this because I know that if you have a low resolution headset, then it's hard to see. But basically, this is a tweet by American Hodl who helped raise, I think it was 1.1 Bitcoins to a user, like a Bitcoin user known as Atlas. All I know about him is that he's from Colombia. That's the only thing I know. And I think he just randomly replied to someone and said that he started saving Bitcoins and that he had like $19 in Bitcoin. And people just started donating money until he reached like one plus Bitcoin in a few hours, which is kind of amazing. I'm not sure there was even anything, any story to it. I think it just kind of randomly happened, which is funny because it used to be like that. Like years ago, people would start Reddit threads or whatever, and people would donate Bitcoins, but it doesn't happen as much these days. So this is kind of amazing. It's like $7,000, a lot of money. Did you donate, Lawrence? No, I love the honesty. You have to speak because later we're going to upload the podcast episode. And if you just move your head, then no one's going to know what you're saying.
Yeah, no.
But okay, so here's the question. What do you do how do you know that, I'm sure that this guy is real, but theoretically, how do you know that a guy like this is real? Because anyone can, start a Twitter account and say, I'm from wherever, and I started saving Bitcoin and please donate. I'm sure that's not the case here, but it could be.
Don't you have a
How do you
donation
know?
address?
For me personally, I have a Tron donation address. Yeah, more people have Tron wallets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they adding pay to endpoint?
What's that?
Are they adding pay to endpoint?
Well, they could. I mean, they could say that they're adding it. It's like everything. They just say that they have it. Like, what feature do you want? Do you want quick payments? So they say, okay, we have quick payments. Do you want privacy? Then they say, okay, we have privacy. Just have it.
It's easy.
It's easy. It's really easy. Do a press release, a video maybe, boom, it's done. White paper.
Boom.
Lawrence, are you drinking right now?
No.
No, but you're usually drinking in Reckless Review episodes, or are you not?
No, not really. Maybe coffee.
Sounds like you are.
Sometimes, maybe.
When was the last time we did an episode? Was it like 2 months ago? 3 months ago?
2 months
I don't
ago,
know.
maybe? I don't know.
Yeah,
Who's keeping count?
a lot. The world changed a lot in the 2 months. By the way, if anyone wants to troll us, you can try. I mean, you can click the raise hand button, and I will see it, and it might allow you to try to troll us in whatever way you see fit. So just so you
Seems
know.
reasonable.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I don't know. I see Waxwing's hand still raised, but I don't know if he meant this on purpose or not. Yeah, he didn't. Okay. So let's move on. Okay, Merch is here, and I promise Merch is going to be a surprise. So this is a tweet by Merch. So Merch was just tweeting that the UTXO sales is an all-time high. So let's start with, okay. Be honest, guys. Raise your hand, or show emoji or something if you don't know what UTXO is. It's okay if you don't. I want to know. Okay, show an emoji if you do know what a UTXO is. Yeah, okay. I think some don't. I think some might not know. So it's a good chance to just go ahead and say that a UTXO is an unspent transaction output, and what it means is when you send a transaction, you create one or more UTXOs. So you can, if you send to one address, then you create one unspent transaction output that goes to that address. And maybe you use one transaction to send to multiple addresses, or one address plus change address, or whatever. So each one of those is a transaction output. And if you don't spend them, they remain unspent, then they're unspent transaction outputs. And they're kind of important because we have to track them. So a Bitcoin node, in order to function, it has to keep track of all the unspent transaction outputs, because it has to know basically which outputs weren't spent yet when validating transactions. So it's kind of an issue that if the UTXO set, the number of outputs that weren't spent yet, is growing, then that could be like an issue for people who are running Bitcoin nodes. And right now, it seems like the UTXO set is back at the all-time high, which is 66 million outputs. And I'm actually not even sure why. The last time it happened is like the end of 2017 or early 2018, and between December and January, which is probably because everyone was interested in Bitcoin, moving Bitcoin around and buying Bitcoin, whatever. But right now, I'm not even sure why. Is it you, Lawrence? Did you create those UTXOs? Not you. Okay, are you sure?
No. Yeah.
Maybe
do you remember that?
I see
no.
Merch trying to. So Merch, if you wanna Merch, yeah. So Merch, if you wanna speak, you have to click the raise hand button on the bottom right of your screen. And then I'll be able to, okay, there we go. Go ahead.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So generally the UTXO set is growing just as people are transacting, because when they don't consolidate, every transaction, if it has one input, will generate a change output and a recipient output, right? If you're sending to a single recipient. So each piece of Bitcoin that we create when we send transactions creates a new unspent transaction output. And if you have minimum inputs, you tend to grow the set with transactions. So what especially bigger exchanges will do, if they're conscious of this, is that they will consolidate those unspents. And we saw, if we look at the mempool monitors lately, we see a little bit of that, but not as much as the natural trend is increasing the UTXO set anyway. So actually, yes, we had a peak in end of 2017 that was about 64 million unspents, but then there was, after this huge congestion that we had for multiple months, the unspent set shrunk a lot when people were consolidating, but since then it's more or less steadily been growing again, and recently it peaked above the all-time high again.
Right. Yeah, thanks. And yeah, we can kind of see that in the charts too. So we had this peak around late 2017, and it's just been growing steadily since then. And one of the challenging things, I guess, that wallets have to do is kind of decide what's the right time to try to do consolidation and when to avoid that, because you can sometimes do a transaction just throw a few more unspent outputs in there just to consolidate, but that hurts privacy and that might make fees higher for the particular transaction. Is that something that Green tries to do at all, like consolidate sometimes, or probably not? I think most wallets don't do that, right?
Well, with Green, there's a lock time, and we have a coin selection that tries to pick coins that are going to expire, the earliest or already expired. And by expired, I mean the unlock time has expired, meaning you can spend without 2FA, one of the recovery mechanisms. And so we certainly do some level of coin selection, but one of the primary things that we need to do is prefer things that are going to expire soon, because moving them when they're close to expire is an extra transaction cost that you can avoid, and extra, operation that you can avoid if you do it normally, as you spend.
Yeah.
I think there's a big trade-off between, privacy and efficiency here, right? Because maybe when the time is right, you want to consolidate, but consolidation also means, you're putting all your UTXOs together, and that leaked something, right?
Yeah, I have.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead. Oh, well, I was going to say,
I'm just.
ultimately, you want the user to choose what they want to do.
Yeah. Ideally, you like let the user kind of say what they prefer, but then the user has to be really involved, which is, I guess, sometimes not what they want. It's easier if you're. I mean, it could be easier if you're something like an exchange, and you know what you're doing, and you have like people whose job is to make sure that you consolidate things. Although I'm sure that some exchanges don't manage that really ideally, but you could.
Good.
Let's
But
see,
also, you
merch
think
has
that
something to say.
increasingly exchanges would want to have some privacy themselves, right? Or not?
Yeah.
So especially since the unspents that tend to be the inputs for consolidation transactions tend to be fairly small, they tend to be used in conjunction with multiple other inputs anyway. So the privacy issue of consolidating, maybe there is a little bit, because you use so many inputs in a decent consolidation transaction, maybe 100, 200. But you would be using those with other unspents already anyway. And so I actually disagree with Udi when he says that you have to know when to do your consolidation transactions, especially from an enterprise's perspective that operates on very different wallet sizes, like maybe 2,000 to 10,000 is a good size of unspent count for them. They can just easily create a couple unspent, consolidation transactions all the time. And then, like, as long as they have 5 consolidation transactions in flight, don't do more. But whenever they get confirmed, they just increase more. And they sit in the mempool, and whenever the blocks don't fill up completely, the consolidation transactions go through and get confirmed. And if that takes 2 weeks, who cares, right? They'll just consolidate some of their small unspents, and they have another 10,000 unspents anyway. So, in fact, like, everybody that is responsible, if there's multiple people here that administer big wallets, I think that you should just generally try to find a good size of unspent set for your wallet and create consolidation transactions beyond that and have them sit, because yesterday evening the mempool emptied out again and there was no transactions waiting. So all that possibility to consolidate just goes for nothing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I guess for a lot of enterprises, they can just do that. Let's see, there's also, I think MZ wanted to say something. Go ahead, MZ.
No, just an idea. Maybe your UTXOs are just too cheap. So maybe you need to pay rent to have a UTXO. I'm just joking.
Is that a Tron joke? Tron doesn't have UTXOs. The saying. I think. Brad, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
My mic's working great. Okay, so yeah, I was on Twitter yesterday and I saw somebody posted that the active addresses in Bitcoin are the highest they've been since July of last year, and they're getting close to the peak in 2017. So it could actually be increased usage of just general people using Bitcoin and making more wallets, and also the increased trend of mixing, because you have a bunch of small UTXOs when you're mixing. So maybe with these Ponzi guys that are scamming people and mixing their Bitcoins, maybe that's actually increasing the UTXO set. As well as regular usage.
Could be. Yeah, could be. I mean, as much as it's true that the rate is just the number of UTXO is just growing kind of steadily. But yeah, it could be any number of things. So learn, start consolidating your free UTXOs, please. Think of the babies. Good. Because you know that if Bitcoin is not working, then babies die.
You could just increase the block size, right?
Yeah, but you know, that's easy. That's easy. We need a challenge. I think you deserve it. You deserve a challenge.
Okay.
Okay, good. Wait, let's see. Let's see. Let's see. We have Vasily who wants to say something. Go ahead. Or if someone is going to, I'm waiting for someone to control us. We have one troll. Hey.
Yeah, so as I see this unspent transactions are not like concerning its size. So we have seen like record highs of Whirlpool transactions from Samurai. There were some post tweets about that, and like I want to notice that if you want to use the high I don't know, fraction pool like 0.2 and 5 Bitcoins for mixing, it's really expensive like in fees. So I use like 0.01 or 0.05. So this is probably the reason of this record highs of unspent transactions, like because people use Whirlpool, people playing with it, and like it will be much more, I don't know, relevant if we can make this analysis of UTXOs with their size. So like we can be happy that like we have these records, I don't know, levels of UTXOs, but I'm not sure that this is like relevant info. I don't know. This wasn't the question, actually.
Well, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I mean, I would actually love to see some data about things like Whirlpool and other and whatever other mixers exist that if they maybe if they really affect this, could be interesting. I don't know where to find it, but it could be interesting to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Okay. So let's move ahead. We always, in Reckless Review, we always mention at least one shitcoin. We mentioned Tron already, but we can also mention Libra, I guess. We tend to talk about Libra a lot in Reckless Review.
Do we? I thought it was the first time.
No. We mentioned it at least like 3 times in other episodes.
Okay,
I think you
maybe
really
you
liked
did.
it.
No,
I
no.
know. I only care about this one. I never think about other shitcoins. I think
But
it's
I saw that you said on Twitter that it's dead.
yeah, but don't believe what I say. So
So what
okay, so
happened?
Here's what happened. They released like a new version of the white paper or whatever. I don't know how they call it, the whatever document they have, and there are two big differences. One is that they're no longer going to push this kind of Libra currency. They're going to have this multiple stable coins, and they're going to use that like a USD coin and a Euro coin and whatever. Yes, are you building the blockchain? Yes. Okay, good job. Good job. So that's one change. And the other change, I think it's bigger, is that they just completely gave up on the idea of having it permissionless. And they're just gonna do KYC to everyone who wants to be involved in any way. So if you want to do a wallet, you need to get an approval for them. If you want to have an account, you need an approval for them, which is, I guess, not a huge surprise, but it's not what they said originally. Which brings us to how is it different from like PayPal or whatever? Because it just uses regular currencies and you need to do full KYC to participate. So what's the difference between this and PayPal and whatever?
It's not a huge difference, but at least the Facebook has, bigger market penetration, knows more, not this market, but another market, and can leverage that. No, I mean,
Bigger than
I
PayPal?
think Facebook is known in more countries than PayPal. No.
I don't know. I guess I don't think it's like a huge difference. Maybe they have 3 times more users, 4 times more users, and none of them are paying. I don't know. But yeah, what I wonder is if it's kind of brought the wrong kind of attention, like suddenly regulators care more, and suddenly regulators are looking at stable coins more that aren't related to Facebook. Maybe they're gonna, maybe it's gonna be a hard time for people like Tether and USDC, Circle, and the other ones, because now suddenly regulators care about what they do because Facebook brought it to everyone's attention. It seems like they talk about it more, but I don't know. Do you use stablecoins, Lawrence?
No, not yet, at least.
And
I mean, is
like
there
in your
much
physical
use?
wallet?
Is there much use for them outside of trading?
I don't think so. Like, not really. I don't know. Some people claim to not, not have a bank account and do everything with their shitcoin wallet. And then they say, well, we can keep USDT or USDC or whatever, and then we don't care about the mobility. But I mean, most people, I guess, why would they do that? They have a bank account. Right?
Well, I'm just saying, if you don't trade or if you don't hedge, then you're probably not a customer. You don't use a tether to go. Maybe you could. I'm just saying. I don't think at the moment you go out and use tether, in a place where normally you could use Bitcoin, like, wherever merchants do.
Yeah. Do you use Bitcoin physically? That's something you did in the last few years. Obviously not in the last few months because you're not doing anything physically in the last few months, last couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, every so often.
I want to see your transaction history. I don't
No.
believe you. Why not?
We want to see your Tron transaction history.
That's very easy. I can tell you my Tron transaction history now. You just
On
say
a
it.
Block Explorer.
I get monthly payments from Justin Sun, and that's it. That's the one.
On PayPal?
Yeah, on PayPal, of course. No, he's not. He's a cheap ass. He's not paying me anything, unfortunately. Let's move on. Let's move on. Next thing. Okay, this is actually interesting. And before I go on, for those of you who can read it, I'm sure some of you can't read this, but for those of you who can, this is something that. So Bashko tweeted this, and he was talking about Peter McCormick's podcast, which is presumably making has a revenue of around $66,000 a month, because Peter is publishing the transparency reports that talk about the
Oh, you mean
income
Pedro?
of the business.
I was thinking.
Yeah, Pedro. Yeah, sorry. In reckless review,
Yes.
I call him Pedro. Sorry. So he's publishing those transparency reports, and he shows that there's revenue or income of $66,000 a month, and obviously there's a lot of expenditure too. So he's flying around and he's shooting videos and whatever. There's a lot of spending going on too. But I guess that the interesting thing here, and Bashko actually apologized later, and he kind of said that he didn't mean to kind of talk about how Peter's making money, and he was more concerned about how other projects are not seeing a lot of funding. So I mean, I guess the kind of interesting thing here is that some people seem to claim that the money should have, I'm trying to make quotes with my fingers, but I can't. So that the money should have gone somewhere else. But I think it's kind of silly. I mean, put aside the fact that Peter McCormick is using those funds to make the podcast, his podcast business larger, and he's creating new films and he's doing new stuff, and he's investing those funds to make the business larger. Put that aside, I guess the greater point is that his podcast is providing value to the people who are sponsoring it. And so it's not exactly the same as, let's say, an open source project like BTC Pay, which obviously has smaller funding. They have some funding from some companies that fund them, but it's much smaller, obviously. And I guess the interesting discussion here, because this thread went along and changed a lot, and Bashko kind of changed his mind about what he said here, but I guess the interesting takeaway is how open source projects can get funding that is maybe not $66,000 per month, but that is, something they can work with. Now, I think with BTC Pay, it's pretty interesting. I think they raised around $100,000 per year. That's the budget for the entire year. I think that's the number I saw last time, which is, I mean, it's good. It's great that they have it. but obviously you can't have like 10 developers with $100,000 a year. So, I mean, I'm not sure how, I think that Blockstream helped fund the P2EP feature for BTC Pay. It was on the blog post that they published earlier this week, which is great. So this is kind of a way for companies to help fund these kind of projects. So if Blockstream cares about P2P and wants to make P2P a feature of main address, then they can help someone like BTC Pay implement it, which is awesome. But I'm not sure if there's other ways that this kind of open source projects can raise funding. Is this something you think about? Because I know Blockstream is kind of trying to, it's a for-profit company. It's also doing open source projects. It's also doing some research that's really Bitcoin only and not a for-profit thing. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Me?
I mean, you, Lawrence. Yes, the man with the hat.
Yes. No, I mean, not really. I think that there's two ways really we contribute to these projects. One is try to sponsor things that, if you use a product, sometimes you need features, so trying to sponsor them, I think makes sense. And the other thing is, I guess you can sponsor them in two ways. One is just donate money for the project to work on it, and the other one is contribute the pull requests or the code. And sometimes also, sometimes it needs a lot of iteration and interaction before you can, get something decent ready.
Yeah.
And yeah, sponsorships in part depend on company using you, needing you to be featureful and alive and maintained and so on. And in part is also, some developers are better at marketing themselves, I think. And that gets them more contributions than others.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a very big issue. I think that, a lot of very, like, a lot of developers that do a lot of great work are not necessarily really good or interested in marketing themselves. Which means that even if some people or some entities exist that would like to sponsor their work, they don't even know about it, which is a pretty big deal. I mean, I think this is a pretty big missed opportunity because, well, if you're gonna want businesses like exchanges to chip in, that's already a pretty big ask because they can just as well not do it, right? Why should an exchange give out money for free for someone if they're not getting anything back? So the one thing they could get back is to be known as the exchange that supported some projects or supported some person, and for that person or that project has to be pretty good at marketing themselves. Otherwise, the exchange doesn't get anything with the whatever company it is. So I don't know what's the answer for that, like how this can be done better, but I don't know. I think it's something that's worth thinking about. Looks like Alex wants to say something.
Yeah, I would like to clarify something that, open source is great, right? And the reason Bitcoin works so well is because we have open source software, right? But there's also another problem, like most of the open source software is just shit pretty much, right? And now because someone did it for free, which, they have a huge opportunity cost, they deserve a pat on the back. But the reality is most of the projects that are open source is just shit because that's how reality works, right? And then regarding what Larry said, it's a really funny thing because if you're an engineer, you can evaluate your work very easily, right? It's like it works or not. But with marketing, it's a bit more weird. So somehow the engineer feel like if you're doing marketing, you're doing something bad, And it's not like they don't want to market themselves. They even think doing that it's a bad thing. And that just contributes to this whole thing, I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, I guess some people see marketing as a bad thing. That I used to think that too. I mean, when I was working like at some companies as a software developer, I used to think that the marketing people at that company were just useless people. But
And now you're a marketer.
and now exactly, and now I'm useless. But I used to think that we don't need them, but then you realize that they bring the money into the business, so maybe you do need
They
them.
don't need you.
Exactly. Let's see, Vasily wants to say something too.
Yeah, thank you. So, like, we can take a look at the open source companies that succeeded. Like, for instance, not so long ago, Red Hat was purchased by IBM for some billions of dollars or something. So that, like, where the money comes from, like, as far as I know, they receive all the money from integration. So like Red Hat is open source, you can use it, you can use it for free, but most of the money comes from the like integrations for like businesses. So and marketing is also like important thing. So shout out to Marty and Matt Odell. Me personally, I knew about BTC Pay before, but I understood how important it is because of the guys like them who promotes it. But like we need like the community, Bitcoin community in general needs marketing for these kind of projects that are really cool. And guys in BTC Pay server can really make a lot of money helping people to integrate BTC Pay server for their businesses. So now you need to find some programmer or do it yourself, and it's not so easy. But if you want to just sell t-shirts on your website, you can pay something to integrate it on your website like seamlessly, I don't know. And also they can use the model of Lightning Labs. They can provide the main service like BTC Pay server for free, and provide some paid services like Lightning Loop. If I remember correctly, like this is the service where you can rebalance your liquidity in your channels for some fee, like using the Lightning Lab service. So this is like realistic, pretty realistic. And speaking about Peter, Peter is great. I don't know him personally, but he was like the first guy who did really great podcasting. And a lot of people came to Bitcoin podcasts after him. And all this shit, all this, like, me personally, I had like real butthurt when I read this thread. And also this started from Bitcoin Bella calling out him for not knowing a lot about crypto, cypherpunk, or like libertarianism in Nick Savo interview, which is bullshit because he asked a question and like Peter has really good perspective. Sometimes he asks stupid questions, but everyone do. So like guys from BTC Pay server can really learn a lot from him, like how to promote yourself, how to package your product, and like we all need this to happen for everyone to know about BTC Pay server, for them to have like really good, I don't know, design and like user experience. I know some paid products and stuff like that, maybe plugins so that you buy for Bitcoins and stuff like that. And it's totally doable. Like, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Peter McCormick is doing an amazing job, actually. And actually, a little known fact, some people don't know this, but the reason that Trackers Review exists is that one day Lawrence reached out to me and he said, look, Peter McCormick is amazing, his podcast is great, let's do the podcast too. That's the truth. It's happened. Larry is not saying it didn't happen, so seem to agree.
No, it
You're
never
not
happened.
you're not denying it.
I was muted.
So you fiercely denied it, but you were muted. Okay. Yeah, this was a false story. But no, I think Peter is doing a great job, and I think that you're right, Vasily, about
Oh, so you
people
listened
who
to
learn
him.
from that. I did listen to some. I mean, I didn't listen to everything, but I did listen to some episodes. I think he's doing a great job. I understand why. Look, I don't agree with him about a lot of things, right? Like on a
Like the
personal
number of
level or
Bitcoin.
exactly like how many Bitcoin coins exist. This is something that we disagree on. But you know, I think he's doing a good job with the podcast. I think he's doing a good job with getting people to listen, which is pretty important if you're doing a podcast. As a comparison, Reckless Review has not been doing an amazing job at attracting listeners. So we have some
I think
listeners, and we love them.
it achieved.
But
I think
achieved
Reckless
its
Review
purpose.
achieved. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's true. No, for us, we wanted to. It was like it was a hobby, and we were doing it for fun. But I mean, you have to
We're not
appreciate that
doing
there's
it.
someone. Well, we're doing it every 3 months for fun. Once in every 3 months for fun. But I mean, you have to appreciate that it's good that someone manages to build a business around a podcast that's related to Bitcoin. I think it's a good thing that we should be happy about. I see Merch wants to say something too.
Yeah, I think that comparing BTC Pay Server and Peter McCormack's podcast is a little bit of comparing apples and oranges.
Yeah.
So Peter is aiming at the casual Bitcoin follower, like people just getting into the space, wanting to learn more. He embarrasses himself successfully by asking the stupid questions a lot of people want to ask, but more experienced people know already, or maybe have not completely understood to the nuance that the answer will come out as from his interview partners. And so for the listeners of this podcast, it's very obvious what they get, right? They get a very high quality show. It's good audio quality. He really thinks about what lines of inquiry he wants to pursue with each person. He goes and meets them in person, which is a much higher quality conversation than internet chat, often, which is employed by other
It's also very
podcasts.
dangerous these days.
Yeah, sure. I think he actually is doing it via internet now too. But
Yeah.
so BTC Pay Server goes after people that want to run their own merchant service, right? This is already inherently a much, much smaller market. It's
Right.
also harder for people maybe to see, okay, there's a free product here, which I set up myself, which is work, and like I'm doing stuff myself to get something out of it, but I still should pay for that, right? So yes, it's a marketing issue, but we're also comparing very different things here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's very different. I think there's this challenge with everything that's Bitcoin related because, I mean, you could say, okay, BTC Pay is the leading, and I'm just using BTC Pay as an example. I'm really not in any position to tell them how to monetize a product or whatever, but they know what they're doing much better than I could. But I mean, just as an example, BTC Pay is like the leading payment processor for Bitcoin, right? The leading payment processor that you can install yourself. And you could compare that to something like WordPress, right? So WordPress has their open source software, and they also have a managed blogging service that people pay for to let them handle everything. So you could say, okay, BTC Pay could do something like that. But then you lose a lot of the benefits because a big part of the benefit with something like BTC Pay is that you run it yourself and you have your own infrastructure and you keep your own keys. So what's left for the managed service to do? I'm not even sure. I guess they could do something, but it's not as much as WordPress could do. So it's a real challenge. It's with everything Bitcoin related, it's a challenge. Wasabi does something cool because they can charge for coordinating mixes, for example. So they have the open source software and everyone can use that, and you can use your own coordinating server if you want. but you'll probably want to use theirs because there's network effects around there, and then they can charge fees for that. So that's like an interesting model. But for a lot of, I don't know, for a lot of projects, it's really hard to come up with something like that. Yeah, I know it's just a rant. I don't have a solution, obviously. Looks like maybe Alex wants to say something, but I'm not sure if it's a leftover. Yeah, I guess not. Okay. Lawrence, anything else before we wrap up? Do you want to shill some coin?
Well,
Maybe
I was
you need to-
thinking, I was thinking maybe some software could benefit from subscription model where you get, I don't know, digitally signed new features early. You can always compile it yourself, distribute the source, and you probably should, at least in order to verify that things are correct and whatnot. But I think there are a bunch of things that do that. Or maybe, the model like Nginx where the defaults are all open source and then they do contracts for support and they do, specialized implementations and whatnot that they charge for. The
Yeah.
web server Nginx.
The web server in what?
The web server Nginx,
Oh yeah,
like
sure.
Apache, but not Apache.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so
So yeah, you're saying you can have teams that charge to create custom features that maybe certain enterprises would need, whatever, right?
yeah.
Yeah, but is the market big enough for that? Do we have enough large clients using this kind of open source software that you could actually live off of this?
Maybe not yet, but a payment platform that is open source, you probably do want support, or you probably do want to, have some
Yeah.
customization.
Yeah, that's true. I'm really specifically on BTC Pay. I have to say that every time I try it once in a while, like every 2 months, I install it for some reason and try it again, and it's going so fast. I mean, they keep adding new things all the time, big things too. So it's pretty amazing. They're really doing a great job. I don't know how they do it because they have a large team. I'm not probably paying for them exactly, but they're doing a really great job. Yeah. So, Lawrence, anything else you want to say? I'm kind of wrapping this up.
Not really, and I think this was a pretty short Reckless Review episode. No?
Well, we wanted to do 20 minutes episode. So,
Oh, did we? It was 3
not for
months
this
ago, I don't
one.
remember.
Not for this one. You had the idea to do like 20 minutes every time.
Every
or,
week.
or less. Yeah.
Yeah,
So instead we have like 15 minutes every 3 months.
3
That's
months.
close.
Yeah.
That's close. It's interesting to have this with the audience though, to have like a participation from the audience. I don't know, it's interesting. Not something we tried before, so that's cool.
It's cool, but you have to
So-
be more politically correct, no?
More what?
More politically
Politically
correct. 'Cause
correct?
you could, because
Yeah.
otherwise you would get us both.
Yeah, because I could say something that would offend like half of the people and they would leave. That's true.
Yeah,
It's a problem. But I mean, we have like, I don't know, I guess we have around 50, 40 people in here right now. And we have more than 40 listeners per episode. Like, we have more than that.
we have at
So
least
it's not
one.
really, we have at least one. No, we do those things usually. We put a secret inside somewhere in the middle of the episode to see if someone even gets there. Usually the answer is no.
Yeah, we forgot to do it this time.
Well, you know who's here. That's the amazing thing about VR, by the way. That people who are in VR, they're in VR. They're not doing anything else. They're not on their phone playing whatever. They're not on Twitter. They're in VR. So if you're,
And some people left already.
of course. Probably when I started talking about Tron, probably. That's usually when people leave.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to thank you for doing this. Thank you for getting a VR headset too. Thanks for joining us.
Thank
Let's
you.
shake your hand. Great.
Yeah.
Am I still in the chair? Kind of.
Friendly.
Yay. Thanks. Thanks, guys. To I guess to finish this off, one funny thing about those meetups is that people are always unsure about how to call them. So a lot of people say the weekly VR meetups about Bitcoin by Udi Wertheimer, which is a pretty long name. It's not the best name ever. So I'm happy to say we have a new name inspired by today, Reckless Power. So there's a name now. That's good. My name is good. So don't worry, nothing changes. We'll keep doing weekly meetups. Next weekend there's gonna be a cool meetup too. And yeah, there will probably be some cool news soon. But yeah, I guess that's it. So I want to thank Lawrence for joining us. This was awesome. And I want to thank all of you
Thank you.
guys. Also thanks to JC who's moderating here and also moderating the Telegram group, which is awesome.